Okay, so in the previous video, we started talking about removing the dependency of Prism for our ESAPI scripts. The reason that we use Prism generally is that we're trying to implement an MVVM architecture where we're just trying to update a view, use commands for button clicks, things like that. And so in this video, I want to talk about events and communication. These are three resources that I think are very good. One is by CodeMonkey, another by Singleton Sean and Taro Deb. I'd highly recommend each of these videos if you want more in-depth information on events and communication. We created this MVVM base, and then we added to our solution this project that we had previously. We'll just start it. So we used Prism when we created this. Now what we're doing is we're switching over from using Prism, abstracting the different interfaces for our own use within an MVVM base project that we can then reference. We select a structure set. It populates a list of structures. We can change the selected structure, which then presents some information about that specific structure. And then we just have a button click event that uses a delegate command from Prism in order to change the color. In the previous video, we covered implementing iNotify property change in a specific model to allow us to update a specific property in a view as well. We're going to add a data grid here to present all of the information for the structures. We're going to use an event to trigger whenever the structure set is changed in order to update that view. And that would be another example of communication. We're currently utilizing the PubSubEvent from Prism to update this view. These are in two separate views. So there's a main view and then there's a structured details view. So the main view houses all of this, but then down here is actually a structured details view. And so the structured details view is bound to the selected structure. When we set the selected structure set, we get the structures and we set the selected structure. So then it publishes an event using the event aggregator from Prism, and it publishes this selected structure. Then in the structured details view model, we use the event aggregator. We subscribe to that event. Anytime that event fires, we will set the selected structure in this view. We're going to add a new view to show the data grid of all of the structures and their properties. And so we're just going to add a new user control, and we will just call this structure list view. And we'll go ahead and add the corresponding view model, structure list view model. We're going to inherit from the view model base. We can add a reference here, and we have that, and it brings in the using. We'll just do a full property so that we can update it, and it'll be a list of structure. This is a dummy data library. It just has a few properties. So we've got a grid with a margin of 20. And then we have some row definitions. The first row will have an auto height, and the next row will just fill up the remainder of the space. Then the first row, we're going to have structures, kind of like a label. In the second row, we'll have the data grid, and we're just going to bind the item source to the structures and auto-generate columns true, can user add rows, false, alternating row as light gray. And you could change that to any of the other brushes. I went ahead and added that in, and we've set our data context to the structure list view model. So we're going to need one of those inside our main view model, structure list view model. Now we can see it in our view. Oh, looks like we have okay, so this is actually a good error to see. So this is something that you might run into with ESAPI scripts. We created this MVVM base project using the Eclipse script wizard, which by default will just set everything to an x64. But this MVVM with Prism project is just using dummy data. So it's just set to any CPU. So when you create your own project, you need them to be x64. Let's try rebuilding, and there's no errors. Now when we change this, everything still works. We just don't see anything in the structures. And the reason for that is because we haven't let this other view know that this has changed. So we need to add the event. Right? So over here in the main view model, I've created this region. I'm just going to paste in this event. Just a quick note, events, because you're going to see them done different ways. They can be actions or event handlers. These videos go into a lot more depth. I highly recommend those videos. Essentially, we need a public event handler, and we're just going to call it structure set selection changed. Then we're going to have a method called onStructureSetSelectionChanged, and it's going to have some event args. These event args can be custom. If we want to pass the actual structure set, then we could create a unique structure set event arg where we could give it a property of the structure set, and then we could pass that along. I'm not going to go over that in this video. Those other videos take care of that. Then if there are any subscribers, it's going to invoke it. We've got our event, so now we need to subscribe to it in our structure list view, because this event lives on on the main view model. Let's create a constructor, and we need an instance of the main view model, and then we're going to create a field. Then we need to subscribe to it. This structure set selection changed. If you select this little lightning thing, these are events, and so we can just select this, and then we need to subscribe to it with the plus equals. I'm just going to hit tab, and I'm just going to use this. Actually, let's call this update structure list so we have a better idea of what it's doing. All right, so now we have this private void, and all we want to do is want to update the structures. So structures equals main view model structures. Now we need to raise this. Anytime the structure set changes, so this sets it, we're going to raise this event. If we don't have anything to pass along, then we'll just pass in some empty event args. So in our main view model, we never actually created the list view model. Let's go up here and create this new list view model. And we just need to pass along the main view model. Okay, so still nothing. Let's see. Well, of course, we never actually updated the property. So we need to raise the onProperty changed update. But if you want to be explicit, you can do this or do that, or just leave it blank. We'll just leave it like that. And so now let's try it again. There we go. Okay, so now we get a list, and then anytime that we change the selection, then we get a new list. And then if we actually change the structure color, you can see it actually get updated there as well. Next, we'll add a new event to update the structure details in order to not have to use the event aggregator or this PubSubEvent. We see here in the structure details view, we take in the event aggregator. Essentially, we want to get rid of that. So let's delete it, and we'll delete that. Just go ahead and get rid of that. Things will start to complain. We'll remove that. And you can see down here, we try to use the event aggregator to publish the selected structure event. Let's just go ahead and get rid of that as well. And let's go here. We'll get rid of the event aggregator. And then if we go back to the main view model, we need to publish an event. Let's create an action. So here we created an event handler. Instead, we'll just do an action. We're going to check to make sure there's subscribers to it. And then we're going to vote. And we need to raise this here. So this is the equivalent. Let's go back over to the structure details view and need to listen for that event. In order to get access to that, we need the main view model. And then, so we want to subscribe to that, and we want to update structure details. We're not going to take in this structure, and this is going to be the main view model dot selected structure. Okay. So that should get rid of that. And let's just test it and see where we're at. That is not it. We never gave this the main view model. We'll just pass in this. Try again. Oh, let's see. Because we got rid of the event aggregator, everything bubbles back up to the main application start. So we don't need that. And now we can hit start. There we go. So now when we select the structure set, this all still changes. So, and just to show that that is what's going on, if we just don't fire that event or let subscribers know that the event has occurred, now we don't get anything done. Okay, so now we have an example of an event handler and then one of an action. In each of these cases, we're accessing those properties of the main view model. But let's say you wanted to pass the object along. In the case of an event handler, what you need is a custom set of event args. I've created a structure set selection changed event args. It inherits from event args. It just has one property that is a structure set. Then I've created a constructor here to make it a little cleaner. Then over here, it needs to be of this type now instead of just regular event args. So selected structure set, and we're just going to pass along these new event args. Whenever we raise this event, we need to pass in the selected structure set. So now we set the structure set here, so we'll just pass that along. So then we need to go to where we listen for this. In the structure list view model, we have this update structure list. We're just setting this from the main view model, but now we're actually passing this from these event args. So we need to change this event arg signature. So it's going to be this. Now we can get this from here, and then we can get the structures. That's just an example of how you can pass something along for an event handler. And so if we wanted to pass that along through the action, we will just set this. So we need to pass along a structure, and then we will pass it in along here. And then when we go and listen, you can see this is red now. So now we need the structure. Okay. So now let's just try this. Let's see. So we didn't pass this along. We can set that because we've already set it. So we can just pass that along. All right. When we update the selected structure set, we still get these updates. When we change the structure, we still get these updates. When we change the color, everything still updates. So that's good. So now we've gone from using Prism's PubSubEvent to an example of an event handler and an example of an action. If we don't need to pass along an object, or if we want to pass along an object, with an event handler, we can use a custom event args. And with an action, we can just pass in some different objects. And you can have multiple objects as well. Up next, we're going to add our own implementation of I command, which will allow us to get away from using Prism's delegate commands for like button click events and the like. We'll go over that in the next video. Hope you have a great day.